Good morning, dear students. Today, I explain love, courtship, and happy marriage concepts in Jane Austen's novels. Love, courtship, and happy marriage are the key ingredients in all the fictional works of Jane Austen. So, in Jane Austen's fiction, we find happy ending at the end of the fiction. Plot revolves around love and its consequences and happy ending. So first we find love is generated between two young couple. In the middle we find misunderstandings between them. At the end they understand each other and their misunderstanding ends in marriage, and both of them again realize their own mistakes and they are happily married. That's what we find in number of Jane Austen's fictional works, particularly in Pride and Prejudice. Her novels represent the kind of courtship, that means love and its affair, that was practiced in the drawing rooms of the rich ladies and gentlemen. So rich ladies and gentlemen often meet in their neighborhood, particularly during birthday parties or some other occasions. They exchange their love and they start involving themselves in romantic affairs. And sometimes, their love affair runs very smoothly. Sometimes, in the middle of their love affair, they do not understand each other. There we find disturbances arising between the relations. But at the end, what happens, we find both of them coming together once again and leading a pleasant life. In Austen's society, a good marriage meant on that would profit one's status through gain in wealth. So they take marriage as a kind of an opportunity to improve their economic status as well as social status. So here, wealth is a key factor and it becomes more important for both love and lover. So some of them want to increase their social status as well as economic status through the system of marriage, and some of them, intelligently use the concept of economic status as an advantage and get involved in love affairs. That generally happens when young people meet in the parties. Then marriage for life and even the wealthy aristocrats could not easily obtain divorce. So generally, what happens, keeping in view the importance of finance in their lives, so we don't find couple, because of differences, don't go for divorce. They stick on to the relation. Because once they get divorced, they lose both social status as well as financial status. So this factor is more important. What the environment in our fictions is domestic environment, and most of the characters belong to aristocratic families, and some of the characters belong to middle class families. So there lies the gap between, financial gap or economic gap between aristocratic people and middle class people. And what is interesting is that, ironical thing is that, love affair develops between aristocratic family and middle class family. There we find a struggle between both aristocrats as well as aristocrats feel proud of their, their economic status or social status, whereas middle class people, they're firm in their, character and identity. They never give more priority to money or anything else because they want to assert their individuality and credibility. So ఈ జేన్ ఆస్టిన్ నావల్స్లో ప్రముఖంగా చూసుకున్నట్టయితే ప్రేమ, తద్వారా జరిగే వ్యవహారాలు, తర్వాత ప్రేమ వ్యవహారంలో జరిగే కొన్ని అపార్థాలు, తర్వాత అర్థం చేసుకునే విధానము, తర్వాత మ్యారేజ్, ఇవన్నీ అంశాలు ఉన్నటువంటిది ప్రధానంగా ఉంటాయి. In case a couple did separate, the law favored the man and he got access to all the money and custody of the children. In case both, wife and husband wish to separate themselves, so what happens, man is benefited more. Husband is benefited more rather than a lady, and financially man is supported, and he also, as per the law existing in those days, he also gets the chance to take care of their children. So if you look at this case, we find that women are not given much priority and women are deprived of their rights, and whereas man is protected and given legal power to take care of their children. Therefore, for women who were not accorded equal economic opportunities and property rights, a good marriage was crucial. So, women in those days used to think quite number of times before they go for marriage. They used to assess the character of a man quite number of times. They observe him from close corners, and then only they decide to go for marriage. They always wish to have a good marriage. So they don't want to have any kind of differences, because as they know very well that once they get separated from their husband, they don't get anything, financially, and they don't have any chance to have control over their children. Keeping these circumstances, women don't wish to get themselves separated from their husband. So that is the reason why women in those days thought of having good marriage. So even they want to suppress their own feelings rather than separating themselves from men. That is why Charlotte economic opportunities and property rights, a good marriage was crucial. Yes. That is why Charlotte's marriage of convenience to Collins does not seem out of place in the 19th century Britain, where matrimony was the honorable provision for well-educated young women of small fortunes. Yes. Charlotte, in this novel, accepts Collins, estimating or feeling that she doesn't have any financial problems once she compromises herself to get married with Collins. So from Charlotte, we understand that women are wise enough to safeguard their own interest, though they follow norms of the society in those days. Then, marriage to Collins was the only way Charlotte could secure her happiness and life. You see, Charlotte, she knows her condition, social status, economic condition, and she feels secure with Collins only, because from him only she gets a kind of a social stature as well as happiness in life. Here, happiness in life, most of the times in domestic novels of Jane Austen, women thought of having financial status, because the finance only provides happiness as well as enhances their stature in the society. So Charlotte is wise and smart enough to move along with Collins, who possesses little bit of property. Keeping in view Collins' character, keeping in view his financial status, and expecting her future, so she wants to have marital affair, or she wants to have marriage with Collins. Then, however, it was not only for women who married for wealth and money. So a woman's property could be transferred to her husband after the marriage, making her vulnerable to fortune hunters like Wickham, who married them for them. So we find, you see, what is the pathetic condition in Great Britain is that, once a woman gets married to a man, her rights on her property could be transferred to her husband. That is the reason we find villains like Wickham. Wickham, being a villain in nature, wants to marry a lady of high financial status, so as to get her financial status or financial condition, also our property rights could be transferred to him. So that kind of people also we find. Then, in fact, wealth was considered so important for a suitable marriage. So, money is the key element in the marital affairs or to get married. So, once a lady feels that her husband is good enough to have, or her husband has, a lot of property, she feels so secure because money plays a key role in making the couple live happier for a longer period. So, in this regard, we find Elizabeth making a remark. What is the difference in matrimonial affairs between the mercenary and the prudence motive? Where does discretion end and avarice begin? You see, no morality, no ethical mode of living. What matters more is money, wealth. Wealth is more important than trust and understanding. So here, in the 18th century Great Britain, we find a complete domination of men over women, and women, some of them, adhering themselves to the norms of the society, they showed their intelligence to get married to a man of high financial status so that they can lead a happy life. A woman or a man with less property is not recognized, is not respected. So both men and women are intelligent enough to choose their partners in their life. So women are intelligent to choose their partners. Even men are also very good at choosing their partners because in those days laws provide more benefit to men than to women. Once a man gets married, he gets complete command over her wife's property. Then woman is also intelligent to select a man who has economic status so that she can lead a pleasant life. So love, marriage, happy life, all these factors depend on money, depend on wealth. So wealth is the primary requisite to have a pleasure in life. The four marriages in Pride and Prejudice not only provide the plot of the novel, but they give Austen an opportunity to provide a commentary on courtship and marriages. So we come across four marriages taking place in Pride and Prejudice. And here, Jane Austen gets an opportunity to make a comment on these four marriages. What kind of comment she makes? She makes a comment that courtship or marriage are part of the life, and these two are based on economic status and social status, not on the mutual trust and understanding. On the part of women and the part of men also, both of them think in terms of social and economic status because both of them feel they are necessary for their happy life. So that is the reason she takes an opportunity to comment on the the institution of matrimony, the institution of marriage, are people's belief and people's respect for status in the society. While Austen lived in an age where such marriages of convenience were frequent, she insisted that love was necessary for happy marriage. So, but according to Jane Austen, life is the primary requisite for a happy marriage. Because through love and courtship only, both men and women understand each other. So it is better to have love affair before they get married. Because during this affair only, they understand each other's nature. They come in close contact with each other. There is a huge possibility of understanding one's own psychology. Then, if they understand each other for a longer period, then what happens? And even after marriage also, the same kind of happiness prevails between them. So according to Jane Austen, love is the primary requisite for a happy ending in life. Relationships based on attraction and beauty, like Lydia and Wickham, would ultimately turn. So here, contrasting things we find. So, if the marriage is based on true love, it turns out to be a good one. If love is based on attraction and beauty, if the love between a hero and heroine, or if the love between a male and a female is based on attraction and beauty, we cannot expect the two couple living forever happily, because attraction fades and beauty fades. Then ultimately what happens? What becomes? They understand their realities. So once attraction and beauty leave them, then what happens? Struggle for existence begins between them, and they don't find happiness between them. So then we find, crisis in the family. So in case of Lydia and Vikem, we find both of them fall in love based on beauty and attraction, not on mutual trust and understanding, not on pure love. So according to Jane Austen, so true love is the basis for happy married life, and whereas beauty and attraction sometimes create a crisis in family. Elizabeth, on the other hand, the heroine of Pride and Prejudice, believes in love based on mutual respect. You see, a heroine who is intelligent and frank in her nature, Elizabeth believes that love should be based on mutual trust and understanding. If the love is not based on mutual trust and understanding, the love doesn't sustain for a longer period. So if the love wants to sustain for a longer period between a male and a female, that love should be based on what? Mutual trust and understanding. So male has to understand female, or man has to understand woman, and woman has to understand men. So both of them must move closely with each other, understanding their psychologies and respecting each other's opinion, and according to the opinion of one has to act. So then only the true love survives, and it paves the way for happy ending in their lives. So if the love is based on only attraction and love, we are not sure that it continues forever. And esteem, for that very reason she rejects Collins. So that is the reason, you see, Collins loves Elizabeth based on only her attractions and beauty, but she doesn't accept the love of Collins because his love is not a pure love. It is only based on attraction and love. So she rejects him. So she and Darcy until she should, and she keeps Darcy waiting for such a long time. So Elizabeth is intelligent enough, shrewd enough to keep Darcy waiting for her love for a long period, because she wants to know the true nature of Darcy. So in the earlier time, in the beginning of the novel, we find Elizabeth Bennet acting quite contrary to the views of Darcy, and she opposes arrogant nature of Darcy, and she rejects Darcy's proposal, basing on Darcy's character. So Darcy is a man who feels proud of himself having high social status and prosperity. So without trusting the true love of Elizabeth, so she rejects him. Later, both Darcy and Elizabeth understand each other, realize their own mistakes, accept their own mistakes. Then acceptance of mistakes on the part of Elizabeth and Darcy makes them to go forward in their marriage. She is sure of her love for the lad. So she thinks, waits, understands Darcy, then only Elizabeth Bennet accepts his love. So a marriage should be primarily based on love. It should not be based on, what can I say, attraction and beauty. If marriage is based on attraction and beauty, that means that the couple may not live happily forever. So differences may arise between them, because their affection, their love is purely based on affection or beauty. So here we find contrasting things. So Elizabeth's Darcy love is pure, is based on mutual trust and understanding at the end. So whereas Lydia Wickham fall in love because both of them give a lot of respect for what? For attraction and beauty. That's why we find crises are a kind of misunderstanding between Lydia and Wickham. So here, but one more important aspect from this novel, we get that once a woman gets married, her control on her property is generally switched over to her partner. So men can completely get control over their wives' property once they get married. So this is also a kind of, suppression of women. But one aspect we come to know that love provides an opportunity for a couple to understand each other, then their married life becomes more successful because their marriage is based on trust and understanding. So, in this, particular topic, love, courtship, and happy marriage in Pride and Prejudice are in particular, and in general, in Jane Austen's novel. So, in all her novels, we find love, courtship, and marriage, and through her characters, and through the established norms of her period, Jane Austen expresses her opinion very, very clearly. Then, during, Jane Austen's period, we find there was no organized system of state-supported education. It means during her period, we don't find government institutions of education. Then that created a kind of, hurdle for women to get themselves educated. So they don't have a proper or formal way of getting education because we could not find any kind of formal institutions, giving education to the people. There were the local charity or church-run schools, but these were not attended by the children of the gentry. So what happens, the schools were run by, church people, and most of the, students were not eager to go to the churches. That is the reason we find women are less educated. Apprenticeships too was considered less respect for education. The children of aristocrats were instead educated at home by their parents or governess or tutor. Jane Austen's father himself tutored students who came to live with him, while there were few grammar schools that taught Greek and Latin to the boys and girls were not admitted. A family of financial resources determined where, how their children were educated. For example, if Mrs. Darcy's father had not supported Wickham at school at Cambridge, then Wickham's father would have been unable to give him a gentler education. So what we find is that, even children were given education at their homes, and only aristocrat people only could acquire a quality education in those days. So education, Jane Austen also discusses education available at England during 18th century. So education of women, our educational system, love, courtship, and marriage. These, social conditions also we come across when we read Jane Austen's novel. So Jane Austen is a true representative of 18th century England. She exposes all the social issues of her time, particularly domestic affairs as well as marriage system and the people's attitude towards wealth, people's attitude towards marriage system. All these things we come across through the lenses of Jane Austen. Thank you.